I'm Riva Eskinazi. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships and Development at the International Planned Parenthood Federation. I lead IPPF's resource mobilization efforts, including engagement and collaboration with institutional donors, building strategic partnerships and new business opportunities that are critical to the success of the Federation's mission. In that context, I work closely with donor governments, foundations, with the Swiss government to ensure that we can advance our joint priorities. And at the same time, we also work with our member associations to build their resource mobilization capacity and to help them identify new funding opportunities at the country level. IPPF was established in 1952 by 8 brave and angry women who were leading family planning movements in their countries. Today, after 70 years, we are a global service provider and a leading advocate of sexual and reproductive health and rights. So we're a worldwide movement of about 120 nationally owned organizations, as well as 15 collaborative partners. And together, we are present in over 142 countries. So our member associations are nationally owned and governed civil society organizations, and they are the leading sexual and reproductive health service providers in their respective countries. At the same time, being service providers give them a lot of legitimacy to do also advocacy work at the country level. Our member associations primarily work through a community-based approach, which is also vital for many national governments who seek to address poverty and meet the sexual and reproductive health needs of poor and hard-to-reach or marginalized groups. Collectively, our member associations operate over 49,000 service delivery points. These are static clinics, mobile clinics, small community distributors. And just to give you a sense, this is about 50% larger than all of the McDonald's in the world. So it's a huge network. And over 65% of our services or service delivery points are in rural and peri-urban areas. Despite the shrinking space for civil society organizations in many countries, we continue to adapt our advocacy efforts. We work both in intergovernmental spaces like the European Union, Africa Union, the UN, but also our member associations work at the country level to challenge their governments to ensure that service delivery can be continued and be inclusive of marginalized groups. So our advocacy efforts could include supporting national governments to adopt sexual and reproductive health related services. It could include ensuring that governments can recognize critical need for abortion care, or to advocate for sexuality education for young people, or ending child marriage, or promoting gender equality. So we do both service delivery and advocacy at the same time. A highlight I would like to mention from our work recently is the extensive reform process that we just went through over the last 2 years. This included a governance and resource allocation reform. The process to reform came from the realization that the absence of accountable governance profoundly challenged our organization's ability to deliver its mission. As such, we carried out a fundamental governance reform, which would typically take years to implement. And we did that within a 12-month period. And today we now have a board of trustees, which is composed of 15 members. 9 of those trustees are coming from the membership, from the member associations, and 6 are external trustees. 9 are female, and about the third are young people under the age of 25. And all of the members are selected through skill-based assessment. As part of this governance reform agenda, we're also now supporting moving the global governance reform to the national level, and we're supporting our members both with financial and technical support to review and strengthen their governance structures so that we ensure the MAs are equipped with the best governance arrangements to make the best decisions free of bias and conflict of interest. We have been strengthening our programs in delivering sexual and reproductive health care in emergency situations, which is an area often overlooked. This is true in every humanitarian setting, and more recently, the Ukraine crisis is no exception. Pregnant women require obstetric care in the case of complications, access to sexually transmitted infections, on contraception or HIV care are all critical life-saving services that needs to be provided. With the start of the war, our humanitarian team has been able to assess the situation and support our partners in designing life-saving interventions. And what is most remarkable about this response is that it is completely civil society led, because many of the bordering countries to Ukraine have the UN infrastructure that is usually supporting quick coordination. As these mechanisms were not established, our partners were leveraging their national networks, their doctors, midwives, psychologists to increase access and availability of services to women and girl refugees that were coming through the borders. One thing I would like to mention this year is that IPPF in 2022 is marking its 70th anniversary. And we're also working on our next strategic framework, which will begin in 2023. This new strategy will emphasize collaboration across all sectors and levels. It will focus on taking our healthcare and delivery further. It will also embrace the digital age and highlight further gender and youth. We are looking to our General Assembly, which will bring all our member associations together in November, taking place in Bogota, Colombia, where we hope the new strategy will be approved and where we will also celebrate our 70th anniversary. Thank you.